To run or to pass, that is the dilemma in Jacksonville. I'll explain why it ain't no problem in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, good people? Tony Wiggins here on Locked On Jaguars, ready to bring you some heat here on this glorious day. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before because BetOnline is where the game starts. And you start here with me every single day on Locked On Jaguars because it's your team every day and you make us your first listen. And we are eternally grateful for that. And I'm going to remind you that we're free on all platforms, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube page. What's up, good folks? What is going on? Man, I'm so glad to see you guys or be here with you guys so you guys to see me or hear me. All we are going through and talking about today is we got to explain the run and the pass and the ratio and why Doug is getting some heat that might be a little bit over the top, in my opinion, and why it's the typical. Let's say we lost the game because we should have run it more, as opposed to saying if we had played the way we wanted to play or had played better, we would have ended up running it more. Therefore, those stats would look a little bit more appealing. It's also misleading to always look at the yards per carry and think that that's what they were actually getting on every single play. Not true. We'll discuss all of that stuff. And I'll try to explain a little bit to you of what Doug has hinted at in the past and why he thinks what he thinks, even though he admitted he probably needs to run the ball a little bit more. I want to talk about how teams have adjusted to Trevor Lawrence. They have that tape on him over the first 3 weeks, and what teams are doing, they're forcing him. They're trying to see if he's going to bite and take the bait and become impatient. And that's exactly what he has done, in my opinion, over the last couple of days, and how that plays into the run pass scenario. And why I think it'll be dangerous for everyone to just assume that Doug is going to take the ball out of Trevor's hands and take the air out of the ball. Because once you do that, you know what that means? That means you're admitting something that you probably don't want to admit. So I'll talk about how things can get better without having to make that step. We'll do that in segments 1, 2, and 3. But segment 1, we're going to explain the run pass dynamic of this team so far. In the games they won, they ran it more. Now, you can look at that 2 different ways. You can say, well, the run was the reason why they won the game. I would disagree with you. I think because they had success in the passing game and they were able to score, and then their defense made the other team one-dimensional, they were able to get the ball back on 3 and out. They controlled the clock. Then they started to run the ball. I think head coach Doug Pederson takes the approach that we're going to get to that once we do this. And in order to do this, this is we're going to score some points. We're going to open up this passing game. We're going to make sure those linebackers aren't taking a beeline. We're going to create a degree of separation, and we're going to get to the part of our team in our game. We're going to get to what helps us be successful. And what helps us be successful is the formula that I told you guys about before they ever played a game this season. The Jaguars have to start quickly, have to start early, put X amount of points on the board so their defense can be at its best in their sub package. And they can chase quarterbacks. And they can keep everything in front of them. And the guys can tee off. And they can take a few chances on defense because they have the lead. Get the ball back, control the ball. Now go on these long drives where you're getting 7 to 8 yards of play. I mean, it's not a new blueprint. It's a lot of coaches that do the same thing. I'll give you one. The Dallas Cowboys in the 90s under Jimmy Johnson was always known as a running team. Go back and look at their splits. They threw the ball in the first quarter. They threw it to Irvin. They threw it to Jay Novacek. They swung it out to Emmett. They ran the ball in the second and third quarters. And then would finish the game by going over the top with some play action and getting you on out of there before the middle of the fourth quarter. Go back and look at Troy Aikman's numbers. He threw the ball more in the first quarter than he did in any other quarter. That means we're going to get to the run. We're going to get to exactly what you guys think we need to be doing, but we have to do something first. And what that is put the ball in the hands of our number 1 overall pick, all-world, franchise, hope to be franchise quarterback. This is just a simple case of Trevor has to stop overthrowing people, man. He has to hit those receivers. He has to hit those plays. And I think early in the game when he throws the ball high or he misses a guy, everybody goes, we got a punt, but we'll get back to it. No, that hurts because now you're prolonging the inevitable. And what happened the other day against Houston? They couldn't score no points, and then when they got a chance to score points, he threw a pick. They were that close to creating that little bit of separation and going up 13-6. But what happened when you don't go up 13-6? Houston keeps changing field position. They keep punting it back to you. You keep going 3 and out. Now you're in their territory. And what I mean by that, it's 6-6. They've controlled the ball a little bit more because they've converted a couple of more first downs than you have, and you've turned the ball over to them. Guess what they start doing? They start running the football on you. And this is what I propose Jaguar fans need to understand, that the Jaguars don't need to play that game with anybody. The Jaguars do not need to be involved in an ugly game where both teams are just running the ball and exchanging runs and let's battle that out and let's duke it out. And that's not – the Jaguars need to score points. And I think Doug Pederson knows that. Why would you voluntarily become the Tennessee Titans on offense? Why? It's not that you don't want to get the guys carries. It's you want to get them carries at a certain juncture. You don't want to start playing that game because you never create separation that way. Doug Pederson said out of his mouth, you pass to score and you run to win. That in itself tells you that the formula I'm speaking of is the one that he wants to do. But you have to hit those plays early. Guys got to catch the ball and Trevor has to throw it. We can go around it all we want to. He has a formula of success, and it looks like the Chargers game. And it looks like the first game against the Colts. You got to hit plays. And the elephant in the room is this. Switching up how you do things isn't going to change anything because all that's going to do is make you vulnerable to get beat by teams that shouldn't even be in the game with you. You can walk away from it. You can sugarcoat it all you want. Number 16 has to throw the ball and connect with his receivers early and score points. They lost in Washington because that's not what happened, and they lost this weekend because that's not what happened. And they lost in Philly because he was responsible for 5 turnovers. I don't know how much plainer and simple it gets. When you start talking about taking the ball out of his hands, you're admitting that he's either not ready or he ain't going to ever get ready. And I'm not sure, Doug in his comments said everybody needs to calm down a little bit, pipe down. I'm not sure they're ready to make that determination. We'll talk about in segment 2, we're going to talk about how teams have sort of adjusted to Trevor and he's taking the bait that they're dangling in front of him. We'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. Fall is chaos in your pants. Just listen to me now. You're overheating 1 second and freezing the next. And we know about that in Florida, don't we? To be ready for anything, you need underwear that can handle everything. It's time for Tommy John underwear. And Tommy John underwear, you're that much more comfortable so you can do everything better. Name a problem with other underwear and Tommy John's solved it. Tommy John's breathable, lightweight fabric has 4 times the stretch of competing brands. They come with a no wedgie guarantee, thanks to a non-rolling waistband and legs that never ride up. Plus, they feature a horizontal quick draw fly. Now, ain't nothing wrong with investing in a great pair of underwear, but there's everything wrong with not buying Tommy John's and having a bad stitch in those cheap underwear that you might buy. Tommy John's is the best, and it's backed with Tommy John's best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee. Go to TommyJohn.com/lockedon right now for 20% off your first order. 20% off at TommyJohn.com/locked-on. TommyJohn.com/locked-on. See site for details. All right, man, rolling along here on Locked On Jaguars, explaining the run-pass dynamic of Jacksonville. And while I agree with folks that say that they need to run the ball more, I'm not going to be as directly proactive with just saying they need to run the ball more. They need to execute better so that they can get to the point where they can run the ball more. How about that? If not, they're playing everybody else's game. Who they are is you pass to score, you run to win. That means people got to catch the ball, and the quarterback has to throw the ball to who he's supposed to throw it to. And there's no way around that. And when they start changing their game plan, Doug was, people kept asking about the run after the game. He said, it's on me as a play caller. It's on me as a play caller. He's taking the responsibility, and what he's basically saying is, maybe I do need to adjust it a little bit and take some air out of the ball and not. That sounds like to me a coach saying, I'm not going to give this dude a chance to keep making mistakes. And I'm going to shorten the game up and keep our defense off the field. And even if we run it, the clock keeps running because we throw it, it's an incompletion, the clock stops. If you could conceivably throw a ball and have 3 incompletions on a drive, and the drive is like 15 seconds, and you're giving the ball back to the other team. So from that perspective, sure. But are we really ready to get to the point where taking the ball and taking the air out of the ball and decreasing the amount of opportunities that Trevor Lawrence has, are we ready to concede that now? I tell you what's happened, though. Teams have saw tape and have done things differently to sort of eliminate Christian Kirk. And what teams are doing, it seems like they're dangling some bait in front of Trevor, especially the other day with the whole Tampa 2, the whole cover 2 deal, where you have to be patient and throw in the windows. It seems like Trevor was hell-bent on proving that he could get the ball in those tight fits. And good quarterbacks do that. And that's a trait and a characteristic that y'all should be happy that he has that trait and characteristic. Like, I can do that. But sometimes you have to also be really, really smart and patient. So it's not like they're testing this gangster and he got to stand up for himself, because I think that's sort of what it is. They test your gangster, but sometimes you just don't say nothing back. Somebody told me a long time ago, a guy that's a 5th degree black belt never fights and he never starts one. And he doesn't react to everything that someone does. You ever seen a real trained dog? A trained dog, you can stomp at him and kick at him, he'll just sit there and look at you because he has the right temperament. Sometimes you have to know who you are and have enough restraint and patience that what you do is, yeah, y'all gonna try me with that? Nah, I'll take these 5 yards. No, I'll run up here and slide and take these 4. I'll play your little dumb game with you. I'm going to throw it when I want to throw it, not when you tell me to throw it into this window and you know damn well I ain't going to be able to get it in there, because that's exactly what you're asking me to do. And see, they dangle that carrot on 3rd and 4, and you try to throw it 17 yards downfield when there was a guy right here on the side. You could have hit him for the first down. What we have to understand, and what Trevor has to understand, is this. The other team has a kryptonite, and what that kryptonite is their defense staying on the field too long. And it's also the kryptonite of the Jacksonville defense. The kryptonite of any staff is this: if we can't get off the field on 3rd down, whatever plan that defense has, whatever machismo that they have, it does not matter. You gotta keep them on the field as long as you can. And if that means a 15-play drive, then it means a 15-play drive. So be it. I wish somebody would show Trevor the tape of the game. They don't have to show the tape. He was here. I forgot he's not a rookie. The 49ers. 49ers had a 17-play drive for like 91 yards, and they chewed up 13 minutes off the clock. They demoralized the Jaguars last year, and the Jaguars started trying to fight them. Frustration set in. You know why? Because they were tired. And they knew you were going to dink and dunk and get 4 yards here and 4 yards here and 5 yards here, and they couldn't do anything about it. That's that kryptonite I'm talking about. And Trevor has to understand that teams have adjusted. They're going to take away the thing you like to do best, and they're going to force you to do the thing you don't do well, or they're going to force you to do the thing that they know that you're anxious to do because you're young. And I think film study fixes this. I think he sits down with his coaches, and you ain't got to be Justin Herbert, brother. You ain't got to make the Pro Bowl or be all pro this year. You just got to win some games. You don't want to turn them into Ryan Tannehill either, right? But you don't have to be Josh Allen. And I know young guys, he probably goes home and he watches Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and all of those guys on TV, and it's like everyone's telling him that's who he is and he's in that category, so he has to feel like he has to go out and prove it. No, you don't. All you got to do is win. You keep winning, and your time and opportunity will come, because teams will now go, okay, he's not taking the bait, I'm going to suck it up. And now that's when you can catch people over the top, especially once the Jaguars also add more talent. How can things get back to normal or get back on track? I'm going to let you know how they can get back on track and get back to normal. And what I mean by that is the Jaguars have to win some football games. You need to check out NFL Key Predictions. NFL Key Predictions, you make us your first listen, but make sure you check out NFL Key Predictions on Friday on Locked On NFL. Locked On's local experts give you the inside scoop on the 5 biggest games of the NFL weekend, including Sunday and Monday Night Football, plus betting advice from the field's leading experts. BetOnline. Follow NFL Key Predictions every Friday on Locked On NFL, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. All right, segment 3 coming up here in just a second. First, I got to tell you about our friends over at BetOnline. Man, did y'all have your information right last week? Did you know that the Dallas Cowboys were going to win in LA because of the matchups, and the Rams didn't have a good line, so Michael Parsons was going to eat? Well, you might have gotten all the information had you gone to betonline.net, because it's your number one source for football betting info this season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including baseball, which is independent right now, boxing, we may have a big fight in November between Spence and Crawford, MMA and golf also. Head to betonline.net and use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline is where the game starts. And once again, you start here with me every single day on Locked On Jaguars. I'm Tony Wiggins, your host of the daily podcast, and we thank you for making us your first listen, because it's your team every day. I'm going to give you some silver lining. I always find a way to sort of bring it on back down. This is like when you work out at the gym and you got to, I know I used to not do this, like that cool down lap on that treadmill or that Stairmaster. I'm like, nah, I'll cool down on the way home. But this is like that little cool down phase that we give you, because we bring all of these things up early in the show, but we always try to give you something to take home with you that's going to be optimistic. I talked about film study. I talked about the number of people in that building that Trevor has as resources that will help him overcome some of the things that he's doing right now. I don't think if you're Doug Pederson, you want to change yourself too much, or how you won football game, how you know how to win games, and how you know how to coach, and what you thought. I don't believe taking stuff off of Trevor Lawrence's plate is the answer. I believe you leave it right where it is and you just demand that he plays better. It's right there. All 3 losses were lost by 1 drive. And that's why I go, those early opportunities when you miss, the Jaguars aren't good enough to miss those early opportunities. And they're not good enough to mentally, I believe, overcome those opportunities when they miss them, and to recover and to regroup. I just don't think they have the type of players yet to be able to do that. Like, you make a mistake, don't worry, dog, we got you. We'll make a play that we're not supposed to make. No, I think everything the Jaguars are going to get is something that they're going to earn. They're not going to get anything easy. Nothing. I think every single thing that they get is going to be what they earn. That's the only way that they're going to be good. They have to earn every single thing that they get, and they won't get anything that they don't earn, because they're not really built that way. Maybe on defensively, maybe they'll get some stuff because of the athleticism of Josh Allen and Trevor Walker. But for the most part, No, it's going to be whatever you earn is what you're going to get if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars. Period. Point blank. End of discussion. And you ain't getting nothing extra. So you have to make it happen. The Jags, I believe, are this thing. They don't have to score 31 points to win a game. I think the Jaguars score 24 points. They can beat anybody in this league. And 24 points is not a lot to ask. I think on a certain occasion, they might have to score a little bit more than that when they play certain teams. But if they do it the right way and get off to a good start and they're able to get, and not only on the scoreboard, but in down and distance situations, like win first down. If they do that and put teams in second and long and third and long, and they get to those packages, that's when they're at their best. But teams won't lose the patience that they have until Jacksonville scores some points. As Houston hung around, and I sat there. I forgot who I said it in the press box. I said, "This is ugly, and this is what you don't like, because you know who wins ugly games? Bad teams, because they ugly, not physically. I mean, just they scrappy, and they're just the ugly team. And the uglier the game, the uglier it's gonna get. Then you playing in an ugly neighborhood, and ugly people beat you in their neighborhood, and that's what happened. You don't want to do that when you don't have to. So I think Trevor Lawrence just has to get better and has to execute. I think Doug will mix the run up a little bit, and he'll pull it back a little bit to make sure they keep time of possession. I'm gonna show you the detriment of doing that. If you pull it back a little bit and you're not aggressive, you start telling your team that you don't believe in them. If you pull it back and you're not aggressive, and then the other team scores points and you get behind, now you got to throw. Now the run goes out of the window. Now you got to throw just to get back into the game. So now you're playing out of that element that the fans want to suck Doug back into anyway. But you're doing it with desperation, because now you don't have a chance in hell of doing anything else. And now you're getting done to you what the Jaguars need to be doing to other people. Everybody calm down. Be patient. It's not over. Let's just see how the execution works. And let's see if they can go up and beat the Colts, who they're a little bit banged up, and they ain't going to change much. Gus Bradley's going to run what Gus Bradley runs, and you've already seen it. So let's see if they can go up and get back and start playing better, because they got a hell of a stretch coming up here in a little while. I'm going to tell you about the Peacock and Williamson NFL show, the Peacock and Williamson show. Brian Peacock, the host of Locked On 49ers as well, is the absolute truth. And Matt Williamson is my boy. He's a former NFL scout. They give you a show that is unlike anything else you've heard anywhere. And you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Peacock and Williamson NFL show. All right, man. Y'all take care of each other. We'll be back tomorrow with more. We're going to talk a little bit about Indy, and then we have Thursday. We have the Thursday crossover. And, of course, Fridays, we'll have all the keys to victory. Until then, you guys take care of each other, and we'll see you next time.